Hi there, I'm Achie, speaker, coach, and entrepreneur. I'm also a wife and mom to the Shawns, my brilliant hubby, Sean Sr., and my vivacious toddler, Sean Jr. I am a perpetual student to this thing called life, and boy, has life taught me some lessons. What I absolutely love is helping you to identify and debunk the limiting beliefs that cause you to hide from your awesomeness. It's time to reprogram your thinking. So settle in, get comfy, and let's girl talk. Just you and me. This is the I Am Achie podcast. Welcome to 2021. I have missed you guys. A very happy new year to you. We made it. We're here. If you're listening to me, we made it. And I don't take that lightly. 2020, as we know, presented a lot of challenges, but the end of 2020 presented some unexpected tragedy for the family and loved ones of a few of my high school and college mates. Very unexpected. So this year has taught me many things, but it has deeply taught me how truly precious life is in a way that I didn't realize before. I experienced death in ways I didn't expect, and it just showed me that every day we have is a blessing in so many ways. So when I say that I'm happy you're here, I mean that literally, and I don't take it lightly. I truly, with all sincerity and with all my heart, am happy that you're here. And as I fully embrace 2021, I wanted to do a quick episode of what I've been up to and a few of my 2020 recaps. You guys know I took a little bit of a break at the end of 2020 just to rest and recharge and spend time with my family and not have to worry about work and the podcast and doing all the things. So I'll be honest, I did have to reel myself in because I'm so used to always thinking about what I'm supposed to be doing or the tasks that I need to accomplish, that there were times where I really had to stop myself from working and to really just be present and enjoy the holidays with my family. So that's one thing that I did at the end of 2020. And so I'm really excited for what's to come in 2021. And I know it's kind of like, people are viewing that as kind of jinxy, where you are speaking too far in advance, because the last time we said we were looking forward to an amazing year, 2020, all hell broke loose. But, I'm looking at it from a different perspective. I am still optimistic because even through all the challenges that we experienced last year, we have come out stronger. There's been tragedy and there's been sickness and people have lost their livelihoods. But if you're still breathing on this earth, I guarantee 2020 made you stronger, and it showed you what you can survive if you persevere. So there was a lot accomplished. I accomplished a lot in 2020, and there are a lot of people through all of the unrest and through everything that was happening, they still managed to accomplish some amazing things. So we can't completely ignore that. And no matter what happens, I think we've dealt with the initial shock of what it means to live in a pandemic and social unrest and how to pivot accordingly. I think the biggest thing for 2020 was that we had to learn how to do that. We didn't know how. We didn't know how to live through this. Now it's kind of like, okay, even if we have to go back on like super strict lockdown, like a lot of the other countries are already doing, or, whatever else may come about, it may not be the most exciting thing in the world, but I believe that we have experienced the initial shock, so we are more apt to pivot more easily. So with that in mind, I believe that 2021 will be a great year. It will be a great year. That's what I'm holding on to, and that's what I'm believing for myself, and that is what I'm believing for you. It doesn't mean that challenges won't still arise. As I'm recording this, there's a lot happening right now. Politically, there's a lot happening. There were just riots at our nation's capital. It's a mess. It's a mess. All eyes are on the U.S. right now. It is a mess. But through all of that, I'm still believing for beauty. I'm still believing for beauty. And I hope that you can have the same mindset around this new year that we have. Also, 2020 was the year of putting myself first. And I've talked about this a lot in previous episodes about how you cannot pour from an empty cup. And I have just learned after years of just pushing through and being there for everyone else and putting myself last to my own detriment that I am no good to anyone when I'm not good to myself. So when I take care of me and when I put myself first, I can show up better as a mother, as a wife, as a businesswoman, as a friend. But when I am neglecting myself, I am selling everyone else in my relationship short. And that is not fair to them or it's not fair to me. So when you guys get time, go back and check out episode 33, Take Care of You. That's the title of it. And I go more in depth about this concept. And I decided to do things in 2020 that brought me joy. Now, of course, at the beginning of 2020, when everything happened, it's like, okay, everyone just stop. But once we understood, okay, this is what we're in, this is what we have to live with, I just decided that I'm not going to let this year go to waste for me. I'm going to allow this pause to be the starting point of caring for myself. So one of the things that I did, I started back learning Spanish. I've always loved foreign languages, and that's the foreign language that I know the most of. So I wanted to sharpen up on that and learn even more. My goal is to become fluent. And actually, my goal is to be multilingual. I want to be fluent in multiple languages. But right now, my goal is becoming fluent in Spanish. And that brings me so much joy. I just love foreign languages. So I am so excited to be learning and to be serious about learning a foreign language. Also, I took my first vacation without my little man, which was so tough. Oh my gosh, it was so tough. So earlier in 2020, like literally probably a week and a half before the pandemic hit the US or really hit North America, I'll say that, I went to a conference in Toronto, but it was enjoyable, but I was there kind of helping a friend out. So I was in work mode. So although I was away from him, I definitely was not in vacation mode. So I took a girls' trip and we went to Mexico, and it was the most amazing thing ever. And I was very emotional. I bawled my eyes out. You know, if you're listening and you're a mom or if you're a dad, because I have some men who listen to this podcast too. If you're a parent, you know, you complain all the time about how much you need a break and you need me time and you need to get away and you just need to take a breather for yourself. And then the minute you actually take the breather, you're like, no, I miss my kids. And I cried my eyes out. I was just, oh my gosh, I was bawling. I was bawling my eyes out. And when I went away, my guys, the Shans that I talk about in the intro of this podcast, my husband and my son, they actually went to Disney. So they had their time and he did so well. I was texting my husband like, hey, how's it going? How's little man doing? He's like, he's a breeze. He's doing fine. He's enjoying himself. At night, he's even climbing in the bed on his own and going to sleep without me even having to tell him. And I'm like, what? Like, I'm glad it's going well. I am glad. But I'm like, why? Confession session. I'm like, why does it have to be so easy for you? Like, when I am with him, it is hard work. Why is it so easy for you? Why does it get to be so easy for you? But I'm happy it was easy for him. And I mean, you know, I've always heard this too, that kids actually behave better for other people than they behave for you. And I know his dad is his parent too, but it's just a thing with moms where that's like the kid's safe space. And like, they just, I don't know, where their safe space, but they also sometimes act the worst with us. So it was, it put me at ease to know that things were going so smoothly. So that's just like one less thing I had to worry about. I didn't have to say, hey, you know, you guys need this, or, you know, what are you guys going to eat for dinner? Or, you know, did you think about, like, I didn't have to do any of that. I was able to be fully present with my friends and we had a ball. I don't think I've had that much fun since like college. I mean, it was so needed. Oh my, like all of us just in our own ways just needed to get away from everybody. And we recharged and we relaxed and we rested and we laughed and we cried and we danced and we partied. It was a dream. It was a dream getaway. So that is something that I did in 2020, contrary to everything that was happening. And also, I also shared this in another episode, but I am training for a 5K race. And I have been wanting to run a 5K for many, many years now. And I would start and then stop and then start and then stop for various reasons. But I am like taking all the precautions and making sure I'm taking super close care of my body as I'm training, because I'm not a runner. So I'm having to like really pay attention to what's going on with my body and really listen to my body and be gentle with my body. So my first race is in 6 weeks. I've signed up for it already. I've paid. Like, I am going to be in the place, and I could not be more excited. I have already seen myself crossing the finish line, and I am so, so excited. I've also been doing some resistance training to keep my body strong, and I can tell that's been helping as I do my training and I'm running. I feel so much more stronger. My body feels so much more supported. So that is something that I've been wanting to do for years. I'm like, nope, you know what? I am going to make this the year that I prepare myself to do that. So that's something else I did for 2020 for myself, just to start that training. And then the biggest thing I decided in 2020 was that no matter what, I would never give up on myself and my goals again. And as I stated earlier, I went to a conference in Toronto, and actually I went to another conference. Well, the first conference I went to was in January, and then the same conference, different city, in March in Toronto. And it's the Rise Conference by Rachel Hollis, who is a 3 times New York Times bestselling author. And she does these amazing empowerment conferences, and they're just really, really good. And the first one was in Fort Myers, Florida in January. The second one was in March, and I was there supporting my friend who was a speaker there. And one of the exercises that we did during the conference was to talk about how we would not give up on ourselves and the goals we wanted to accomplish, and how we hold up everyone else but let ourselves down. And I remember thinking, like, my God, that is totally my story. I'm there for everybody else and used to put myself last all the time. And I remember writing down, like, my thing was I would never do that again. Like, Achie, you will never, ever give up on yourself or your goals again. And only reason why I remember that now is because I noticed at the end of 2020 that that's something that I decided and I did, but it did not come back full circle until like I was really thinking about it, that you declared this in January and in March. I completely forgot about that. But I declared that to myself, and I didn't even realize that I was implementing that. Like, that's the power of speaking life over yourself. That subconsciously you start to act and behave with the very thing that you're speaking to yourself. And that goes both ways. That goes on positive and the negative. But I spoke that over myself, and subconsciously I remembered that I said that. Consciously, I had no idea, but subconsciously something was ignited in me to just take care of me. And taking care of me doesn't mean that I neglect my family and those close to me. It just means that I make myself a priority. Because if I'm not making myself a priority, how can I show my son how to make himself a priority? So yes, I can take care of him, but I can also make myself a priority. And guess what? He's a priority too. You can have multiple priorities. Before, I was not a priority at all. So now I'm in the running as a priority, where before it was just everybody else. So I understand that with making myself a priority and being gentle with myself, that I have to give myself time. I have to give myself time to catch up with where my mind is. to catch up with where my vision is. And I think that, I know that for so long, I was so harsh on myself because I would have these big goals and big visions. And if I wasn't able to accomplish it as quickly as my mind wanted to, I would get discouraged and just say, oh, for whatever, forget it. I'm going to move on to something else and just keep that cycle going. But the thing is, you have to be gentle with yourself and give yourself time to catch up. Our minds can travel through dimensions and realms and time periods and things like that in different paradigms, but our bodies, right? We have to, and who we are inside of our bodies, we have to give that time to catch up with what we see in the future. So with that shift in thinking, I said, no matter what, I'm not going to give up. I'm going to keep believing in myself and I'm going to keep working towards things that I see, no matter what. Even if I don't see an immediate result, I am going to keep going. No matter what, the focus will not be on the result. The focus will be on the journey to keep going. Because here's the thing. I used to be a pro at giving up on myself. So I know what that looks like. I know what the end result is. I know what the finish line of giving up looks like. However, my mind has shifted. So now I have to see what it looks like to continually advocate for myself on my personal goals. My personal goals, the things that, some things have to do with business, but those personal goals that have nothing to do with business or anyone else except me, that have nothing to do with my family, but only have to do with me. Nothing about my friendships, but only me. The inner Achie that is separate from every single title that I have. And I am in the beginning stages of what it looks like to persist until you succeed. So I am super excited about that. And speaking of such, I have so many exciting things in store for you this year to help you to persist until you succeed as well. And I want to shout it all on the mountaintop, but I will not do that just yet. I will not tell it all just yet, but there are some exciting things in the pipeline. However, if you do want to be among the first to know, make sure that you are on my email list so you can know exactly what is happening, when it happens in real time, and you can join by visiting my website. That link will be in the show notes. I want to hear from you. Shoot me an email or a DM on Instagram. I'm kind of back on Instagram a little bit. If you've been following my journey, you know I took a huge hiatus from social media, but I'm kind of back on social media. I'm not really posting as much, but I'm kind of sort of back. So if the app is back on my phone, I'll say that. So if you send me a DM, I'll actually get it this time. But send me an email or a DM on IG and tell me your biggest lesson from 2020. My contact info will be in the show notes as well. Guys, this has been marvelous. I'm so happy I'm back. I only took like a 2.5 week break, but I'm so happy to be back podcasting, back in your ear as you're running, walking, jogging, cooking, cleaning, driving. Did I say that already? Whatever it is you're doing, I'm happy to be back in your ear. So remember that I love you, I see you, and I want you to win. Talk to you next week. Bye for now. I know firsthand how challenging this personal development journey can be. It can feel lonely, confusing, overwhelming, and even difficult to know exactly where to start. That is why I created an amazing resource for you. Go to emachie.com to download a free audio training that discusses the top 2 things you should focus on as you begin or continue your journey to shifting your mindset. Yep, only 2 things. I like to keep it simple and actionable. Again, that's emachie.com. And also, if you enjoyed today's episode, I have a favor to ask of you. My goal is to get this podcast in front of as many women as possible. The things I discuss are the things I wish someone would have told me when I began this journey. So in order to do that, please take a few seconds to share this episode with a friend and leave a 5-star review. Don't forget to subscribe so you can get notified when I release new episodes. I love you, I see you, and I'm rooting for you. Bye for now.